Okay, so we have another 3 more minutes to go before we start the program. I want to remind everyone because there's a few new people that we are going to take a photo early in the session in this program. So I want everyone to open their cams later on and make sure that everyone is looks presentable lah. So make sure that if you're wearing a hijab, please do wear a hijab. So you have some time now, but please do get ready, yeah. Okay, so the time shows it's 8:05 p.m. now, so we'll be starting the program. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to everyone, the presenters, listeners, and also our ex-hosts. Hi, so I am Farahana, a first year student from FST. I'm a microbiology student, and I'll be your MC for tonight. So I hope you all are very excited to listen to everyone yapping tonight. So we have our own UKM poets, artists, and students to share their own piece tonight. So we have lined up some familiar names from the society themselves, very own members. So I present to you. So I present to you Pastor Mike 2.0. We can move on to the next slide, please. Another one. So, if you haven't seen our poster, I'm sure all of you have seen it. It's made out by our beautiful Aisha. So, welcome to Pastor Mike 2.0. So, a little welcoming remarks from me. I want to introduce myself again. I am Farahana, the MC for tonight, and I am also the Vice Director for Pastor Mike 2.0 and the first Pastor Mike. So the initiative was first started by Natasha Rahman, our own Pastor Mike director. Pastor Mike is to invite students to hold a safe sharing space where everyone can share anything and everything in their own comfort, from your little interests and hobbies to your beautiful pieces of art. In this place, we want to discuss, we want to ask, and we want to share what we want. So from the success of our previous Pastor Mike, it has shown that we want to continue this series because we had so much fun listening and sharing interests, poems, and new topics that we rarely heard. So from the last Pastor Mike, I actually got to learn a bit more about Formula One presented by our presenters, which I rarely hear from a girl, especially in my own group. So it was a little mind opening for me. So I can only hope that Pass the Mic will continue this series so we can invite more UKM students from any and every faculties to share their own interests and fun facts so that everyone is free to express themselves and we make UKM a lovelier space where we can express ourselves freely. So the way Pass the Mic works is that a presenter will present their piece or their topic of interest, and then we have an allotted time for the listeners to ask questions regarding their piece or would like to put in some input probably, perhaps. We never had that before. Mostly it's just questions. But if you have your own inputs from the audiences themselves, please do. We do highly recommend it. So during the presentation, I would really like for the presenters to give support, maybe given 2-3 reactions during the presentation, and also give supportive comments and supportive replies in the chat room. So I do hope it's more of a fun little sharing session rather than it's just a tight up, like everyone is a bit tied up and serious. We want it to be fun and we want everyone to be able to be comfortable and able to share what they want and listen not carefully but listen to the listeners, because we want to make sure that the presenters themselves feel supported during their own presentation, okay? So please do give your support and reactions. And if you want to ask a question during the allotted time, do raise your hand or do put in the chat. And if the presenters don't notice it immediately, I can also ask the presenters themselves from the chat your questions. So before I end my welcoming remarks, I would like to invite everyone, including the presenters, the listeners, the ESCOs, to open their camera because we would like to proceed with a photo shoot session right after this. Okay, so everyone open their cam so we can take a picture. So how do we want this? Ooh, should we do a together mode? Change scenes, perhaps. Ooh. Which one? Auditorium. To get it, you change the scene for everyone. So, wait. So please open your cams to everyone that's available tonight. Please open their cams because we don't have a lot of people on cam right now. View flash gallery. Okay. So we have Kumar, Yuri, Nazreen, and also Doctor. Hi, Doctor. So for everyone that doesn't know, this is our Dr. Rahana, our own advisor for the society. Say hi to Doctor.
Assalamualaikum, good evening.
Hi, Doctor. Salam. Okay. So I think we got enough people on camera, so we will be taking a photo. Can one of our ESCOs also take photos? Okay, one.
Give us 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay, good to go.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Uh, 1, 2, 3. I'll be taking a lot, so do any poses you guys want. Okay, everyone looks good. Everyone looks cute. I see our presenters ready. Okay. Okay, so now we'll be proceeding to our session now. So first, I would like to invite Yashvin Kumar, our very own poet, for a poem recital. The mic's to you, Yashvin Kumar.
Hello everyone, I am Yashwin Kumar. You can call me Yash. Can you hear me? Okay. So thank you for inviting me to share about poetry, which is one of my passions and hobbies. Basically, what I thought I would share with you all today is why everyone should write poetry, as well as telling you a bit about the difference between written and spoken word poetry. So firstly, why should everyone write poetry? Basically, to keep it short and simple, it is a way of expressing yourself, and it is a way of basically putting down your thoughts, your creativity, your emotions, all of that down into a space where it exists separate from you. So in a way, you can learn more about yourself from what you write. You can learn about your skills, your as in like your vocabulary. You can learn about your knack for language. You can learn about your own self as a person, because it often takes a lot of introspection and even soul searching to write a poem. But having said that, writing a poem doesn't have to be a chore, and it doesn't have to be something that you absolutely have to be very good at. You can do so, you can write poetry for any reason at all, for self-expression and whatnot. It doesn't have to be world class, it doesn't have to be prize winning poetry. So as long as you get something out of it, you are happier, you have expressed a positive or negative emotion, you have decided to work on a hobby or a skill that you want to get better at, be it poetry or whatnot, you can do so at any time. It's convenient to do so at any time. So, having said that, when we talk about poetry, a lot of the time people think about poetry that is written down, but sometimes some people may also think about poetry that is performed or spoken word poetry, right? So there's a lot of examples on YouTube like button poetry and whatnot. So um, spoken word and written poetry, there are some differences. How written poetry is meant to be read, and it is meant to be seen and processed as words on a piece of paper or a screen, and it is meant to be understood as our interpretation of what we read. Whereas spoken word poetry is meant to be a performance where the person who is performing it has a performance aspect towards it and actually decides how the experience will be for you. Because when you read a poem that is on a paper or on a screen, it tends to be somewhat one-sided. Whatever you think of it, whatever you think about it, whatever you can relate, it depends on how you perceive the poem to be. But in a spoken word poem, a lot of that becomes not just a person reading something, but an audience and a performer that are interacting with each other, whether directly or indirectly. So to give you a better idea of how spoken word poetry is, because I'm sure all of us are at least somewhat familiar with written poetry, instead of performing any live poetry due to possible internet issues and whatnot, I have actually sent the team a video of one of my performances that I recently did 1 or 2 weeks back at a book launch. So if you would like to ask any questions about poetry or whatnot, yeah, please do so. Please do watch the video first. yeah, then all questions and feedback are up for asking. Tasha, that's your cue.
Can you guys hear the audio?
I can't hear anything. Can anyone hear anything?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, then if the video is not cooperating, I can perform a short one right now, actually.
Oh,
That would be
okay.
really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just find it 1 second.
We're so sorry.
We're so sorry.
No worries.
Because
Okay,
we already put it in the
so
but now it's not.
I'm aware that my allotted time is not very long, so I'll just recite one of my shorter ones. So this one is called 9 Lives, and it goes like this. What I love the most about you is the way you look at me with sadness in your eyes every time we part. Like a cat blinking slowly, you let me know you love me before you turn around and walk away, and we both let fate decide when we will meet again, if ever. I find comfort in knowing for a fact that if we did have 9 lives, you'd look for me in 10 of them. So a very short one, and I really do like that piece a lot. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, if anybody has any questions about writing or reciting poetry, you can let me know. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share about my interests and passions here today.
I have a question.
Yes.
You're my friend, but I never knew about your interest in poem until you started sharing about it. So, can I know what actually sparked you to start doing this, and exactly when did you start?
Okay, so uh, I actually have been writing poetry since like 2017, 2018, but I did not go into performing poetry until maybe August last year when I joined the Malaysian National Poetry Slam, for which I was a finalist and I won third place. And since then, I have been doing performances here and there. I've even gotten paid to do some gigs, and it's continued to be a passion that I am pursuing. Why do you not know that I have been doing so? Because I actually did make a poetry Instagram account, but I deleted the account because I was too lazy to keep it running. So that's why you don't know. But yeah, if but I will always tell people, like, if you want to write, it doesn't even have to be good. It doesn't have to leave your own notes app or your own notebook. Just write whatever for the sake of saying that you have written something.
Okay, that was a good share. And wow, you actually went to the national immediately, the national poem recital, or poem slam, poetry slam, is it? Why,
Yes.
like, did it took some bravery, or you were just like, damn, let's just do it?
Yeah, so I've written a lot of things, a lot of poems, but on one hand, like I didn't actually know at the time how to turn it into a more performance geared poem. Actually, I didn't know there was much of a difference because we had workshops before the slam and all. But also, I was quite scared of doing it because although, like, okay, Tasha knows me from the UKM Debate Club, and I do MC, I do debate and all of that. But somehow, poetry as a much more personal thing, it took a lot more courage to go out into a crowd and talk about me, myself as a person, as opposed to like public issues or just like talking about an event. So to go on a stage and talk about yourself in front of a lot of people, it took a barrier or fear to get over, and I'm glad that I did last. So if anybody is wondering whether you should do the same, this is me telling you, go and do it.
Okay, that was really nice. It sparked a little poet's dream in me as well. So I would like to continue. Dr. Rahana actually has a question. She raised her hand. Go on, Dr. Rahana.
Thank you very much. Yashun, very well done. I teach literature in UKM, so I'm always amazed at young people putting themselves out there. I have a question for you about identity. One of the things we do is we look at storytellers and how they construct stories and they capture our imagination. How do you identify yourself? Do you identify yourself as an artist? Do you identify yourself as a poet? Do you identify yourself as a performer? Do you identify yourself as a storyteller? So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question, Doctor. I think it's a really good question because it is something that I have actively given a lot of thought as of late, especially since I've been doing a lot more in terms of performing and whatnot. On one hand, I studied genetics in UKM, and now I'm doing my master's in medical sciences. And now I'm also performing. I pretty much do a little bit of everything just because I want to try and experience life as much as I can. So I think although a label might not necessarily be necessary for everyone, I do like the term polymath because it means a person who does a lot of things. And I really like to call myself a jack of all trades because the saying goes, jack of all trades, master of none, still better than only a master of one. I don't want to just be good at one thing and do nothing else in my whole life. I wouldn't mind being mediocre at everything as long as I would get to experience all that I can experience.
Okay, that was really great, Yashvin. I do relate to you in a lot of cases as well. Writing is very personal and vulnerable, and you get to actually present it to people. And that is true. Being a jack of all trades and a master of none, also relatable. But it's really nice to be able to experience. It's kind of cheesy, but experience life as it is, and it goes on, and you experience a lot of things. Okay, so thank you, Yashvin, for your share, sparking the little poet in me and all the other listeners as well, I hope. So let's move on to our next presenter. We have another personal piece as well. It's from Noir Honey, a take on love. So I wonder if it's romantic. Go on.
Hi everyone, I'm Hani. So I will just start off by saying that this is actually like a journal piece that I wrote a while back, and I figured that it's personal, but not in a way that I want to make it private. I'm not ashamed of giving my thoughts on certain topics, and love is something that I really enjoy consuming, enjoy feeling as well. So I'm just gonna read off of the screen that y'all are seeing. So, love is only fun if it doesn't consume you. Once it does, there's only ever yearning and hope. I don't like liking someone because if I do, I let the feeling stir my consciousness. The like decides how I live. Feeling love is a trap. You suffer in its containment and are painfully aware of it. Your every waking moment is with the thought of them in your mind. You want to be where they are, do what they love, watch what they watch, listen to what they listen to, wear what they wear. You want to look at them, be near them, talk to them. At what point does love become obsession? Where is the line that separates love and obsession? Why? Why is it that love consumes? Why is love a dictator? Why does love tyrannize? Life, sorry, love feels like a parasite. It controls and manipulates. But the worst part of all, I want love. I must be deranged, possibly insane. It's always what you want that happens to corrupt you. Love is a parasite, and I'm the host embodying it. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, I do enjoy that piece. I love the coming down of it, the wrapping up, this acceptance in it is very beautiful. I'm also sure that a lot of people our age do feel this way. And I think it's a bit hard to put it in words, but love is and love feels like a parasite, yes. So I want to open the floor. Does anyone have any questions on love in general for Honey or her obsession? Do you want to add something on it? Does anyone have any questions? If if you don't want to open your mic, you can also leave a reply. Okay, Amelia Hakim, you have a question. Go on.
Hi. I want to ask, since when were you obsessed with love? And for how long? I mean, since when did it start?
God, I feel like I've been obsessed with it my whole life. Not because I have an absence of it, but because I'm constantly surrounded by love. People in my life always show me what love feels like, the love that they show to me, the love that they show to the people in their life. And I've always had an interest in love, in how it's so subjective and abstract. It's not really something that you can explain in just one way. Everybody experiences love in a different way, and I feel like love is akin to humans in that sense because no one person is the same. Like one person is a whole universe, and I feel like love is a universe in that sense, in how similar they are. And I've been obsessed with it, I guess, since I was a child, from my parents and my friends that I've met along the way, and the people that I've been with, used to be with. So yeah. Thank you for the question.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Rahana. Dr. Rahana also has a question. Ooh.
Wow, honey, I didn't realize this side of you. So thank you so much for revealing this side of you. I'm interested in the form, in the way like Yash was saying just now, he's more of a spoken word poet, right? Whereas in your case, your journalistic piece, you've put it together in such a way that kind of it captures my mind. You know, the words are there, but the way it is presented. So tell us a little bit about why you've chosen to present it this way, because I think it's as captivating as the ideas that you're revealing in it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for the question. When you said that you've never really seen this side of me, it's not really a side that I tend to show, mostly because I'm scared that I might not be worthy of it, I guess. Like, I don't want to call myself a writer because I feel like I don't have the skills for it. But the reason why I put it this way, these are quite literally my thoughts. I think very shortly. If you can see from the way that I write very short sentences, and it's almost like a spur of thoughts, like a spur of moment. So the way that I wrote this, actually, it was sentence by sentence, and it wasn't in one sitting. So the way that I wrote it, it was like, love is only fun if it doesn't consume you. And then I stop. And then I go about my day. And then I think about, oh, wait, now I feel this way about it and this way about it. So yeah, it's basically just what I think. I've never really thought about showing it to people. So it's just for me. I like, figurative language in that sense.
But
So
I'm not sure whether others are seeing this, but on my screen, it looks as if there's some words that are it
Oh.
looks as if it's gone through a different kind of a lens, that it doesn't look normal or standard. It looks like it's morphing into something different. Was that intentional?
Oh yes. Oh, I thought you meant present it in the way that I wrote. So this visual, I designed it as well, and yes, it is intentional. I actually bolded the words love, and the way that it more not really not. I just actually bolded the word love. I expanded it in that sense because love is ever expanding, ever evolving. So I figured that could be like a good representation of it. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, does anyone else have a question for Hani? I really do love this piece and also the presentation of it, because I do understand back here is a porcelain. If I'm not mistaken, it's also like a kind of like a wedding cake statue, right? And then it's also, yeah, it's really beautiful. I like the way that you presented it. It's encapsulates how love is a parasite. Yeah, I can't keep that off my mind. But you said that love is only fun when it doesn't consume you. You only write it first and then you just leave it like that. Did you write it down because you were feeling it at the moment, or you just like, that's a thought, let me write it down?
Yeah, I was feeling it during the moment, which, resulted in that spur of moment thought. And I guess I'll give like a few. I mean, you can interpret you can interpret it in any way that you want. But from my perspective and why I wrote it, it was because I felt like the love that I felt at that moment, the moment I was writing this, was so like overwhelming for me. That I keep thinking about it throughout every second of my day, and I was annoyed by it in a sense. That's why I say it's a parasite, like in a negative connotation, because I was so annoyed that I was feeling this way. Like, let me do my work in peace, but I wasn't at peace because of the love that I felt. So yeah.
That is okay. Do you also, like, when you finished writing it, did you feel a sense of relief?
Oh, definitely. I felt like I let go of something that was so like not like my ruin, but I was very like satisfied with myself after writing it because I actually let go of those thoughts and feelings and like came to terms with it.
Yeah, you came into terms while writing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much. That is a
Thank
very
you.
vulnerable share. I hope you have more relief now that you're sharing this to everyone. I love your piece. So I'll have more questions later. So I would like to move on to the next person, our very own director. She's going to be presenting on her addiction. So let's move on to the next slide by Natasha Rahman, My Somber Addiction, Hirono.
Hey everyone. So for today, I'm going to be talking about my current fixation. And you guys must be wondering, what on earth is a Hirono? Well, let me show you. This is a Hirono, and this is a Hirono. Basically, Hironos is a line from Pop Mart. It's a blind box kind of thing, figurines that you can get randomly, and I am so addicted to it to the point that I literally just bought one today. Yeah, it's not healthy. It's expensive. But why do I like Hirono so much? I love it so much because Hirono looks so depressing. And I know that some people might be like, why on earth do you like a figurine that's depressing? Don't you want to like liven up your room by doing by displaying something that's cuter or, more joyful? But here's the thing. I love the symbolism that comes with each of these toys, each of these figurines, because I feel like even though they look depressing, I can kind of relate to a certain level with some of them. I mean, they're not all depressing, some are fine. It's just, I feel like these figurines are so different compared to the other figurines that Pop Mart has. So on your screen right now, this is actually one of the series under Hirono. This is the Mime series. And as you can see, the Instagram handle up there is the person who created Hirono in Pop Mart. So I'm going to show you guys a few clips that shows like the lore of Hirono before moving on to another thing that I want to show you guys. No, 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 no. So as you can see from the video, quite depressing, right? The backstory. The first one is the figurine that looks like he's in jail. He learns to embrace that ball that's attached to him, the metal thing. And the second one is he tries to learn how to fly, and when he finally learns how to fly, he doesn't really fly. So that's why I love Hirono so much, because I feel like there's no other series that gives you that sense of symbolism, that sad piece. Now, talking about symbolism, I am also someone who likes poetry, and I have this thing where I like to create a poem for my figurines because, like, I feel like they're so symbolic that I like to give them a character, and I like to create a poem for that character. Yang ni, this one not yet because I baru beli hari ni, but next. This one is actually a figurine that I already have. He is called Unspoken from the Mime series. And I'm going to read you guys my poem. In the silence, my screams dissolve, echoing in the chambers of my mind, never reaching your ears. The weight of unspoken words crushes me, a thousand invisible wounds that bleed silently. Each day I carry the burden of invisibility, my thoughts, my pain, my voice. Lost in the void of indifference, you see me, but you don't hear me. Your eyes glaze over my suffering, turning my existence into a mere shadow. I am a ghost in my own life, haunted by the traumas of being unheard. Every unacknowledged cry for help is a dagger in my soul, a reminder that I am alone in this cacophony of silence. The walls of my mind close in, trapping me in a prison of isolation. I reach out, but my hands grasp nothing, only the cool air of your absence. I speak, but my words are swallowed by the void, disappearing into the abyss where your empathy should be. These scars of neglect are deep and unseen, etched into the fabric of my being. I am a vessel of forgotten sorrows, a silent witness to my own suffering. In this desolate space, I wither, unheard, unseen, and utterly alone. So that's the little poem that I made for the character that you saw in the previous slide. Yeah, I call him Somber. Can you show the previous slide? Okay, so no. Okay, yeah. So this is Somber. That's the name I gave him. In the series, he's called Unspoken, but I interpret him as someone that's not able to speak out how he feels, which is why I made this poem because I that's what I feel when I look at the minifigure. And if the poem has things that relates to me, or if am I speaking to the minifigure, that is not up for debate today. We are only discussing the minifigure. But yeah, that is the reason why I love this series so much. And I am someone with a lot of interest. And this has been the most expensive interest I've ever been in. So yeah, thank you. And don't forget to adopt your own hero.
Okay, that was nicely shared. I do know about Hirono and Pop Mart and the whole Blind Box series, but I have never gotten myself into it because I was really scared of the addiction and I was really scared that it's going to consume me and my money. So first, I want to ask, how did you find out about Hirono? Was it on the internet or was it when you walked into Pop Mart? How did Hirono capture your eyes first? I want to ask.
So it all started when I was on TikTok. And before Pop Mart became famous in Malaysia, there was this one Chinese TikTok live that would sell these Pop Marts, and Malaysians would buy from there. And that's when I saw this depressing little boy. And I was like, oh, mahalnya, so expensive. But it was the one that I gravitated towards. Like all the other cute ones are nice, but this specific one, I was so attracted to its sad, sorrow looking face. So that's when I was like, oh, okay, there's no way that I can actually buy this because this is online from China and it's expensive. Until Pop Mart started to be so famous here in Malaysia, and Pop Mart has opened so many branches. And the other day on my birthday, my boyfriend actually got me my first ever Pop Mart. So the addiction is fresh. It's fresh.
Okay, so it is really new then. So you just got your hands on it just just now. Okay.
So it started in
Not
two, and now I have four.
you have four. Okay, that's I would guess that would come around to 300 already or more. Um, but I don't want to like encourage you on your addiction, but do you have any other um mini series that you think you might want to venture out more, or you just want to keep with Hirono?
As someone with so many interests, I don't even know what I want to continue delving into because I love books, and then I also love Gundam. I also love action figures. I also love Kewpie babies, those tiny things from Japan. I also I also like those DIY things that you have to like, those dioramas that are DIY. Yeah, when there's so many interests, I think it's better for me to just go with the flow. Like, I don't really want to select one and continue delving into it because I feel like it's fun. Like even though having so many interests is very bad for your wallet, your pocket, because at the end of the day, I am aware that I am not a rich person. It's like I spend money and then I'm like, oh, gotta eat Maggie for the next week. But I feel like life with a lot of interest, it sparks fun. Like it doesn't make your life mundane.
Yeah. I Okay, Dr. Rahana has a question for you.
Hello, Tasha. My question is regarding the writing of the piece. So how did the Hirono give you the inspiration? Was the Hirono the muse? I'm more curious about the writer's mind in you. How does the writer in you use the Hirono to be inspired? That's my curious question.
Thank you so much, Doctor. So when I got that Hirono, right, and I looked at it because it's a blind box, right? When I got it, I kind of immediately was so attached to it because I also find myself being unheard in situations in life sometimes. with my old friendships and like other things. So it was a muse for me to start writing because what's that word when you in denial, yeah, when you're so in denial that you don't want to claim that that's how you feel, so you end up using a vessel to say that, oh, it's that thing saying it. So like I look at this Hirono and I feel like I want to give it the struggle that I've been through and I overcame. So the writing was more towards me realizing how I actually relate to this Hirono being like unspoken, like unheard. So that's how I started writing it, just because I saw a part of me in the Hirono and realizing that I'm just in denial. So I'm just gonna barf my words and just say that, oh, the Hirono, Hirono. But yeah, it is actually a muse because of the whole symbolism behind it. Because even the whole series, even the videos just now, I feel like most of the figurines have something that kind of relates to what I've been through. So that's why it's such a muse to me.
Okay, that is nice. Thank you for sharing. I would like to open the floor though. Does anyone have a question for Natasha and her Hirono? If you do have a question, do raise your hand or put it in the chat. I can relay the questions. Okay, Pang Jiaming has a question. Go on.
Yes. Hi, Tasha. I have a question. Are you only fond of this type of blind boxes, or are you also fond of like the Japanese ones, or you probably gear towards indie artists? Because I know that most of like Pop Mart's blind boxes are actually from indie artists, like usually from Taiwan or China.
I think I gravitate towards the indie ones because because how do I say it? Because they're so unique. I feel like the Japanese ones tend to get a bit saturated. Like you've seen this before, we've seen this artwork before, and we know how it goes. But with indie, right, these specific people, they put their heart and soul into creating it. Like for example, for Hirono, Lang's work, he put his heart and soul into creating these minifigurines, which is why I gravitate towards these more because they have a different uniqueness towards them. Like you don't always see things like this, you know? So I definitely gravitate towards indie.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pang Jiaming, for that question. Okay, I open the floor for one more question. If not, we will continue to the next presentation. So does anyone have a question for Tasha? No? Yes? No? Okay, then I assume it's a no. So we will continue with the next presentation with Nurin. So Nurin will be presenting There Were Three. Welcome to the floor, Nurin.
Okay, hello. Can people hear me? Yeah, okay, done. Okay, so I will be presenting. It's not much of a poetry because I'm not sure what counts as poetry because I don't tend to get into that. But this is just, I guess, amusing that I had written in my notes because I am someone who tends to, whenever I feel heavy emotions, instead of telling them, I repress them, but I put my thoughts into words because if I keep them for too long, then I might forget that I have these strong emotions, even though I don't actually want to remember them. But it's kind of like serving me as a reminder of like, oh, this is how today I felt like this, and like you guys will know why later when I explain it. All right. Okay. So wait, let me just wait for the presentation slides to be presented because I did send them to the media team because I had a slide issue be presented by myself. All right. Okay. So the name of my little piece is called "And Then There Were Three." All right. So, okay. Dah. Stay, I plead to her. I will only ruin you again, she says. You must open your eyes and see what I have done. She who burns as bright as the sun and lives without a care. I then feel a tug on my shoulder, and I look back. Not you, I sneer to the other. You will only bring me sorrow. She has no light in her eyes and no courage in her heart. But I have been your oldest friend, she whispers. You know that I will never leave you. I hate that she is right. I hate that she will stay. I hate that I am shackled to these two until my dying breath. Okay, so this poem is actually, or not poem, this piece is actually about my experience living with bipolar disorder. And okay, so what is bipolar? If some of you may or may not have heard, bipolar disorder is a form of mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings, which include emotional highs, which are called mania, or the high form is hypomania. Wait, no, hypomania is the like lower form of mania, and mania is like the highest, and also lows, which includes like depression. And so what this means is that, how do I explain this? Okay, so when a person with bipolar disorder experience highs and lows, is different from them just being happy than being sad, because like that is what humans feel. You know, humans feel a spectrum of emotions on a daily basis. But the difference between having bipolar and like actual normal human beings feeling emotions is that it can cause you harm. It is overwhelming. So the emotional high, the symptoms of these emotional highs experienced by someone with bipolar is that they suddenly, while they're experiencing that high, they're flying from one idea to the next, being super hyperactive. They have exaggerated self-confidence. They have rapid or pressured and loud speech. Sometimes they can't even control. They don't even realize that they're speaking loudly or fastly, that other people are struggling to even comprehend what they're talking about. They have increased energy, very hyperactive, as I said, and they have a less need for sleep. And for someone who has who's experiencing the lows during their bipolar moods, they get easily tired. They are quick to irritate and are very temperamental. They have trouble concentrating on anything. They have changes in sleeping and also their eating habits, and they're quick to feel hopeless. So again, like if you guys are familiar with the like basic concept of being depressed, it sounds like that, right? Because it is. Bipolar disorder is a form of depression, but it's called manic depression because you feel mania. So the difference is that, like the highs ni, it does sound like something macam, oh, this is someone that has ADHD, like, this sounds familiar. Yes, because when you have bipolar disorder, while they don't actually mean like if you have bipolar disorder, it means that you have ADHD. But like mental illnesses tend to go hand in hand with each other tau. Like if you have this, if you have ADHD, then the chances are that you being bipolar or you having, I think most other mental illnesses such as BPD do also go hand in hand with like depression and all that. So if you have ADHD, then there's a higher chance of you also having bipolar disorder, if you guys can follow. So what this means is that while ADHD does sound very similar to this kind, if you guys do have ADHD or do have friends who you notice are like, oh, this person might have ADHD, it is like that. However, like I said, it's quite destructive in a way that is to either the person experiencing bipolar or the people around it. From what I have experienced, how do I say this? Next slide. I'm kind of suddenly my mind is drawing a blank because this is a very tough topic to come around, because it is about mental health, and because I am not professional, I am not studying psychology, but as someone who is someone who does have it, but still can't fully grasp living with it. So like if you can see the graph, okay, so you can see like there are two types of bipolar disorder. There's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Bipolar 1 is I would say the more serious one because they have very high mania episodes compared to the low depression episodes. While bipolar 2, they don't reach the state of mania. They only reach this state of hypomania, but they do have longer depression episodes. So, people say bipolar 1 is the more dangerous or like the more serious one. It's because mania can get you hospitalized. Like when a person is on a very long manic episode, they are a danger to themselves. So they cannot be trusted to do anything because it's like when you are in a manic state, you don't think about the consequences of your action. You don't think long term. You only think about, oh, I can do this. Oh, I want to do this. I feel like I can do everything. Like I mentioned, it's like you have this exaggerated self-confidence. It's like you're the most amazing person in the world. Oh, I can take this job on. Oh, I can do this assignment, blah, blah, blah. I'll sign up for this. I'll sign up for that. But then when you get off the high, it all comes crashing down. The reality of the situation hits you like a truck because then you're like, why did I do this? Like, why did I take this on? Why did I make this commitment? Because you know that you won't be able to finish all this. You won't be able to handle all of this. So why did you sabotage yourself in the first place by being this confident or being this happy to take on all of this work or making these decisions? One of the other forms, one of like the other symptoms of having bipolar is not, again, like I said, not thinking about the consequences of your actions. And this also means that you will spend an a ridiculous amount of money on things, go on heavy shopping sprees. People who have like more serious bipolar disorders, when they are in a manic state, lagi kalau they don't have money or like they're working jobs, they could get into very serious debt though, because when they're in the manic state, they just buy. Oh, I just go on shopping sprees, and then boom, the credit card bills come in. And they have no way to pay this. And sometimes they don't even open the items that they bought or anything. It's just sitting there because the reality of them buying that scares them when they are off their high. So yeah, I suffer from bipolar type 2, which is the like the hypomania state, but followed by a very long depression. Okay, how do I put this in a way that people can understand? You guys can understand, is that imagine you're riding a roller coaster. You're riding a roller coaster, and at times you feel as though you can see where it leads you to. Either you're going on a very high slope or a really low, plunge. But sometimes it's like your eyes are blindfolded and you don't know what's going to happen next. Like you don't know how long you're going to be plunging or how long you're going to be high up. And it's terrifying, to say the least, because it's like you can't even trust yourself, because being so unsure of who you really are as a person. Like, am I myself when I am on my high, or am I actually myself when I am on my low? Like, until now, I don't even know who I am as a person, because I don't know how to define myself. If I define myself during me when I'm happy or on my high, or during me when I'm low, like who am I genuinely, like when I peel back all the layers. So it's kind of, for me, like after I that got diagnosed, I started reading up, and I got more aware of like the cycles of being on the mania, and also during like plunge deep down in the low. And honestly, I can say it gets repetitive, because you know how depressing it is to be aware that you feel hopeless, and that you feel like, okay, maybe my high is gonna come, maybe I will get into that emotional high, and I will finish all the commitments that I made during that time. But then it's like it never comes. It could be months or months or years before I can actually feel happy enough to make those commitments come true. Or like whenever I'm on the high, and then I feel like, why am I so happy? Like, why is this period of happiness or period of high lasting so long? Because then I'm afraid, if I am this happy, if I am this manic, how will how low will I go in my next low? Faham tak? And it's scary to me, because I don't even know how much sadder I can be. Because then, you know, the feeling of being depressed and loneliness, like, it consumes you. It's kind of like eating you alive. And it's the worst, because you feel lonely even when you are surrounded by people, and the people, you know, the people love you, but it's kind of like you're searching for something or someone to help you, but that person or that thing just doesn't fill the void in you. Yeah, so I kind of want to say I'm getting used to it, but it still confuses me to no end, because I have to kind of like be extra considerate on what I take on, sebab I don't know if what I'm taking on to time tu I'm tengah high ke atau I tengah low. Because sometimes when I'm in my high, I'm not realizing it pun, that I am this manic or hyperactive person, and during my low I'm baru like macam, oh, who was that? What happened? Like literally yesterday I was feeling happy, but today I don't even want to get out of bed. I don't have energy to even eat. I don't feel like consuming food at all. So that is just a bit about bipolar disorder. And if I do understand if my explanations does seem a bit wonky, but again, I am not certified or anything. It's just my experience, because I started and use spaces a lot is just because I'm nervous, and also because this thing is still new to me. I'm still learning. But if you guys want to understand it better, there's a video on it by TED Ed, which is an educational channel on YouTube called What is Bipolar Disorder? And for me, it explains bipolar disorder very clearly. So yeah, thank you. I hope you like my piece, and I hope I didn't scare you guys a bit, because this is really heavy stuff, I understand.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, Noreen. Okay, so as a person who also has borderline personality disorder, BPD, which is similarly to bipolar, but my highs and lows is like every days, so it is frequent. I do want to touch on you feeling scared of how you view yourself, because people who are diagnosed with BPD and bipolar disorder are constantly misconstrued by the media, and actually they are constantly misconstrued everywhere because people think that they are dangerous to the society. So do you have ways to overcome? Is this your first time sharing with others about your bipolar, or are you scared that the way that people are going to view you?
Actually, I could understand that why people think like these mental illnesses are the way that they are, because it's all because of media, and I guess because the world overall is still like taking steps to be open about mental health, and before this, people would call like being bipolar disorder as like, oh, like this person is crazy, or like they have two different personalities, which isn't true. It's the same. I guess it's the same person, but it's the same person on two very, very different spectrums, you know. And being sometimes when I do, but I have not been scared to open up sangat because I guess when I finally got diagnosed, it kind of felt like, oh, so actually I'm not crazy. Because before this, I thought there was maybe this is something that people experience, but I experience intensely because I'm just, I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I'm just searching for attention. I want to feel different than everyone else. But no, there's actually something wrong, kind of like with the chemicals in my brain, which I can't help. There's a chemical imbalance. And I don't tell people, like strangers or anything, like, I have bipolar. No, because I'm not proud of it. But at the same time, I'm also not afraid of sharing it to bring awareness, because I feel that people should know why I act the way I act, not as a excuse, because sometimes I do realize that, oh, my actions might hurt people, because my actions before this, I'm kept for reference. I've never actually actively caused harm to people. It's just myself. I just cause harm to myself, like emotionally. But if people are notice that I'm acting differently or acting in a way that they don't understand, there's a reason behind it. Like I'm acting like this because there is actually, I'm not being dramatic or anything. It's just something very wrong in my head. So yeah.
Okay, Dr. Rahana has a question. Go on, Dr. Rahana.
Thank you. First of all, Noreen, thank you for sharing your story. I didn't realize this at all. The couple of times that I've seen you, it just didn't show. So I think you're handling it super well. Well done to you. My question is regarding the writing. How does the writing help channel the highs and the lows for you specifically? I'm curious about that as a therapy for you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Doctor, for the praise. And again, when you say you were shocked, I was like, well, I'm not trying to. I mean, whenever I meet people, I try to macam regulate my emotions. I call it emotional regulation, kan, so that I don't seem too much for people, and I just like there's this side of me that people macam can go up publicly and be civil towards other people, but my writing too is one of the ways I cope and I remember, because I don't have a good memory. Sometimes I forget very important things, but for my disorder, I feel like it's important for me to jot down what I'm feeling during that time, because then I can look back and macam, oh, I'm not gaslighting myself, because I think I was having a low episode that time, but I don't remember. So like, writing this serves as a reminder that what I feel is valid, but also as a way for me to put it in words, because again, like I said, before I got diagnosed, or before I even knew about anything, I thought that I was going crazy, or I thought that it's just like something wrong with me, but I'm causing it to myself. I'm thinking that I'm so special that I need to feel differently from other people, or that I'm selfish or anything. But no, it's actually something that it's the card that I was dealt with. It might not be fair compared to other people who have, like a normal brain or a normal, like line of emotions. But I've grown to accept it as who I am and just live above it. No, not live above it. I'm sorry, just live with it, because I don't think bipolar disorder goes away. There are ways to, help with it, such as cognitive behavior therapy and medication. But for medication too, I don't take it because it's so expensive. I can't afford it now. So once inshallah, once I have a stable job, I'll go to the psychiatry again and get medication for it. like mood stabilizers such as Seroquel, and go through therapy, because writing and expressing how I feel is therapy in itself, because I spend a lot of time in my own head. I dissociate a lot from the world because it gets very overwhelming. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for that share. That was really brave of you to say. I do want to ask as well. You see your emotions in the writing that you said. You see your emotions as two people. If I'm not mistaken, you apa, pointed them out as she or the other. Why do you feel? Do you feel like these emotions are separate from you, or is it self?
Well, during when I wrote that, I did feel like they were separate from me, because people who, in between, there are in betweens of highs and lows, which is something called euthymia. Euthymia is a state of just overall balance, but that comes very rarely for me. So I guess like the me is me in euthymia, me who kind of despise both of them, but one of like the her with a smile, which is me in my manic state, is the one that I adore, because she gets things done. She's so lively. She's like the sun for me. She's so pleasant to be around. She's so happy. She's so joyful. And the other is me during my lows, and it's depressing to even look at her, because just remembering how awful I felt during my lows, I woke up crying, and then I woke up feeling like I was mourning for someone, even though like no one around me died. It was like I was missing someone so deeply, and I hated feeling that. I hated waking up feeling like my world was crashing down. So compared to the other two, I would prefer the her that was manic. But again, she was destructive to me, and I was in denial of that. So even though I knew that it was me, all the three people are me, I just separated them because of the quote unquote hate and the quote unquote adoration.
Okay, that is interesting because I never maybe it is healthy for you because you were able to actually separate your emotions at the time you were trying to rationalize. I never really see my emotions as two people or another person. That is really interesting take from you. So kudos, you wrote it so well, and
thank you.
It opened my eyes. So does anyone have a question for Noreen? Please raise your hand or reply in the chat box. Yes, no, yes, okay. Since I would like to ask another question, since we're getting ahead of ourselves, we have another more person. When did you write this? Is it recently or was this like far like back?
I think I wrote this last year. Yeah, last year during, I think it was after I got out of one of my lowest lows, and I came to realize that that was me during my low. I was just like waiting for my high time too, because I had a lot of like things to do, but I actually like not a lot of motivation to do them. So that's why the adoration was there, because I was actually waiting for my highs to hit me.
Oh, I totally understand that you were yearning for.
Yeah, yearn.
Wow.
Number one yearner here.
Yeah, no. I have a meme to share with you later, but okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I will open the floor for anyone else to add on any question or anything you would like to add. Maybe you have bipolar as well, or you have BPD or any other disorders that you might want to share. Does anyone have anything to share or to ask? If not, we would like to move on to another presenter, the last presenter that we have for tonight. No? Yes? No?
Oh,
Okay.
I just want to add a little bit for all of you out there who maybe felt like my writing resonated with you, or just you've been feeling as though maybe the way that you think or the way that you feel is different from how other people feel too, but you're not sure what it is because you might be either you don't know a lot about mental health, or you're afraid of being quote unquote different from other people. I just want to say, don't be. Sometimes when you have that clarity of finally understanding who you are as a person, and there is a reason for why you think the way that you think or why you behave the way that you behave, it's kind of like a burden off your shoulders. Because rather than just guilting yourself and thinking like macam, oh, there's something wrong with me, but then I don't want to be, I wouldn't be like self-diagnosing, or I don't want to be acting like I'm mentally ill or anything. But no, just search up whatever you feel. You can search at the internet and go to actually like ORG websites, the one like medical websites who are trusted sources. You can read up on. You can search for your symptoms, whether you feel like this, you can search it up and you can just learn more about it. Okay? And when you feel brave enough to actually be consulted by a professional, that is when you do it. There's no rush into diagnosing. It's just as a way to get one of the questions in your life answered.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like instead of living in denial or not knowing what you have, it's better to get it diagnosed. Yeah.
Yep.
I definitely understand you. So I would like to share as well. Actually, if you do not, to the people in the audiences, if you do not know how to actually get diagnosed by a professional and you do want to get help, I do recommend that you go to a public clinic, klinik kesihatan. The nearest one that we have in UKM is Section 3. You can actually get saringan Minda Sehat, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think you need a appointment for it. You just walk into the clinic and just say you want a saringan Minda Sehat, and then you will do the saringan, and then they will refer you to a doctor in the clinic, and the doctor will help you with diagnosing a little, sikit je, and they suspect, oh, you are actually the things in your saringan is not normal, so they might write down as anxiety or depression at first, and then they will refer you to another public hospital. They will give you a letter. So the nearest one we have for psychiatric is Serdang and Kajang Hospital for public, and you will get a referral letter to go to any hospital that you choose to, and then you will get you will go to the hospital of your choice, and then you will get an appointment date, and then you can go for your first appointment date for your first diagnosis session. So a lot of people that I noticed, they don't know how to get themselves help. So a lot of people think that you need to go to swasta, you need to go to private hospitals to get diagnosed, which is not true. You can get your first diagnosis from your public hospital, but the only reason why people do not like public hospitals is because they do not provide therapy, but they do provide medicine. So therapy, you can pay with your own money. The other one, like the medicine is only like 5 ringgit each follow-up. So if anyone in the audiences are curious or want to know how to get diagnosed, please do reach out to me, or you can search the online. It's really easy, to be honest, because it's definitely better to get diagnosed than actually living in denial. So for our last presenter, I would like to move on to Noor. the book imposter. So I would like to invite Noor to present on her topic.
Hello everyone, give me a minute. I want to share the screen. I'm sorry if I'm a little slow today. I'm actually sick. So I got the case of the fevers. So can everybody see my screen? All right. Hello everyone. I'm sure some of you recognize me from the first Plus the Mic. So this time I'm just gonna keep it nice and short because I actually have a fever. I caught a little something something yesterday, and I was basically dying this morning. So I this presentation I did it like 1 hour before this whole event started. So today's topic, I'm going to talk about the book Imposter because I remember from the Pasta Bite last time, I had received a question in regards to um, how do we read when we're a university student. I think that question was by Hani because she felt like she is no longer reading as often as she used to anymore. So she felt like a book imposter. So that's the topic we're going to talk about today. Okay, so have you guys ever felt like a book imposter? A book imposter is essentially you like books. You used to like books and you used to read a lot of books, but now as an adult, you read less than you used to when you were younger. And you thought about, am I an imposter now? Can I still say that I'm a reader despite the fact I do not read as often as I used to? So the question is, why do I stop? Why did I stop reading? There's 4 reasons why a lot of people stop reading. One, you don't have the time anymore. 2, you don't have the practice. You don't have the energy, and well, you feel like it's inappropriate to read certain books. So I'm gonna explain one by one. So as we get older, we have less and less time as we have more and more responsibility, especially those who are like very active in programs. So unless you take accounts for reading, you usually don't have a lot of time for it. Now, I haven't read for so long. Reading is like practicing, it's like exercising. If you haven't done it for a really long time, it could be very difficult to grasp with dense writing. And another reason is you don't have the energy. Reading is actually very energy consuming because you're using your imagination to like imagine scenes and scenarios. So after a really long day, you might not have the energy to read anymore. And finally, and this is something that I notice often with the kids, like people my age, is they feel like they should not be reading certain materials anymore. Like I should not be reading fictional. I should start reading nonfiction because fiction books is like for teenagers or something like that. So that those misconceptions could be one of the reasons why you're no longer reading. Okay, before I tell you how to overcome the feeling of being a book imposter, we need to first understand why do we read. So there's actually around 3 reasons why we read: evolution, education, and escape. Evolution is when you read books to understand concepts. So for example, you read books like A Brief History of Time when you want to understand physics, or maybe you read Sapiens if you want to understand human history. Education, on the other hand, is, I could say, is like self-help books or books that help you better yourself. And finally, escape. Escape is books that you read simply to as a form of escapism. Now, when we read, we need to make sure that what we read serve its purpose. Why do you read? Do I want to read because of evolution? Do I want to read because of education? Or do I want to read for escape? The thing is about reading is for different people, it means different thing. For me, reading most of the time means escapism. So when I want to read books about evolution and education, it's going to be difficult because those books don't serve what I want them to do. Because when it comes to evolution and education, I would rather watch videos. I would rather watch somebody yap for 2 hours than reading about it. Does it mean that I'm not diversifying my content when it comes to reading? No, it's because for me, reading is escapism, and I choose books that serve that purpose. Now, for any of you who used to read and is no longer reading and feel like, okay, I want to get back into the hobby, I want to get back into the habit. So, what should I do? These are my suggestions. And yes, I have been trying this like past couple of months to start reading again. So, we're going to start off with shorter books. For example, this one. This is a book I bought for my sister. I don't know if you can see it, but you see false facade. This book is like 103 pages. It's not long. And you could knock it out maybe in like 2 days, or if you guys are a really fast reader, then one day and you can knock one of these out really quick. Shorter books allow you to feel fulfilled. Like I read a whole book. I feel fulfilled, I feel accomplished. So it makes for the habit to stick easier, and again it helps you practice because again reading a book is like exercising. If you haven't done it in a while, you kind of have to do it in a way that is digestible for you, and if digestible for you is shorter books, then that is better. Now, the next one is nostalgia. So a couple months ago, I found an Annie Blyton book, like you saw in my little presentation. It's this little small yellow book. Give me a minute. I think I have it here. Oh, yeah, I have it. Okay, it's this little Annie Blyton book, and I have not read this since I was, oh gosh, like 12 or something. But I decided to buy it and read it, and I find so much nostalgia in it because, well, it's nostalgic. And usually, books with nostalgia help us remember why we used to read and why we like reading. But you also notice that this book is the other stories kind, so it's not very difficult for me to go through them compared to books that are denser. Now, this the third one is go back to the basics. I want you guys to go back to the time where you guys used to read and start remembering what kind of books you used to read and why do you like reading them. So one of the older books that I like, that I used to like when I was really younger, is books by Mitch Albom. Specifically, my favorite was this one. I don't know. Oh, you guys can see it. Okay, never mind. It's here, Tuesday with Maury. And if anyone who knew me during the interaction day with the Society Club, the running joke is I like books about old people dying and making peace with life. And guess which book I'm currently reading? It's A Man Called Ove, which is essentially the same thing, just Ove is just grumpier than Maury. So when I started reading this book, I knocked out like 118 pages in like 5 days, which is not a lot compared to how I used to read when I was younger, but it was so much more than how I was reading before. So when you go back to the basics of what you used to love, you'll find the reason to fall in love with reading again. Another book that I bought, also by the same author, is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry, which is another story about old people dying and regretting things. So yes, back to the back to the basics. And finally, stop being so critical. I understand that we don't read as fast as we do, or we don't knock out books as often as we do anymore. Mainly because of the reasons that I mentioned earlier, and most importantly, I'm involved in a lot of programs. I don't have a lot of time to spend on reading, but getting to read, it should be leisure. It's supposed to be escapism. It's supposed to be something you do on your free time. So it doesn't matter that a 300-page book, a book that you used to can knock out in 1 week, now takes you a whole month. It's okay. As long as you still enjoy the act of reading, that should be more than enough. So in the end, what's the conclusion of this presentation? No one is a book imposter. If you still love reading, there is a way to go back to it. Just don't put like this high expectation, like I'm an adult, I have to read nonfiction books or I have to read literary fiction. Maybe I just want to read YA. That's okay. And maybe I want to take my time reading and not knock out a book, like 5 books in a month. Instead, I just knock out 1 book in a month. And that's also okay. No one is a book imposter. Reading a book should be what you interpret it to be, which is enjoyment. So that's all for me. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that this presentation is hectic because I'm still kind of sick right now.
It's okay. You did very well, Nar, by the way. I see that you picked up another book about a frumpy old man again. I still do remember you from our interaction day, and I still think about like how you love reading not desperate, sorry, depressing books. It's it's really niche that you went into a uh specific genre, which is old dying people, and it really stuck out to me until this day. So I don't really have much question about the how to lighten up my interest in reading again, but I do have a question. Do you were you keen on reading on iPads or any media literature? Because new readers or people who are trying to get into reading back, like me, I have some difficulties reading books on iPads. Were you ever keen on reading books on like iPads, or do you prefer the printed ones better?
Thank you so much for the question. And I think the answer to the question is I don't mind. I can read on both on my tablet or with books with physical copies. But I seem to prefer physical copies over the my tablet. It's only, but I also acknowledge that sometimes purchasing a book could be expensive, and buying the PDF version that you find on Shopee, oops, is cheaper. So but I do understand why some people might prefer the physical copies. So I can do both. It's just I prefer physical copies.
Yeah. I also do prefer physical copies because it's literally in your hand and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I do relate to that as well. Okay, does anyone have a question for Nur? Please do raise your hand or reply in the chat box if you do have questions. I don't see anybody is like replying. Okay, I would like to add another question then. What books, like childhood books, that you first picked up when you wanted to start reading again? I see that you have provided a title there, but was that your first book?
It was. So funny thing that happened that should not have happened was I went to a book fair during my book buying ban. It was in K Isaac, and coincidentally, they had this book for 5 ringgit because it was a second-hand book, and I saw it and I immediately bought it because, unfortunately for me, my mom got rid of all of my collections because it was kind of like in my house for a long time, and it was taking up a lot of space. So I no longer have copies of this Unenlightened book. So I bought it, and I decided to, you know what, let me read it. And I read it. I was reading it in between breaks at my job. I'm like working for somebody, so I remember reading it, and I was enjoying it so much that it kicked off my little habit of reading in between my shifts. So yeah, so yes, and it lighted is the book of nostalgia that I
The
chose to get
Cuckoo
back to.
is the Clock. Is it? It's
Yeah,
by who's the author again? Like I can't see the. I forgot the name. Like who's the author?
and it lighted, and it
Ah,
lighted.
okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really nice because I do find that reading when I stopped reading when I was like, I don't know, 12. And then when I was in my diploma, I also picked up a childhood, like not a childhood book, but a kid's book so that it was easier to digest, it was easier to read, and it was softer stories. It's not as intense as young adult topics, and it's not as intense as education and non-fiction books. So it was really really nice to pick up an actual kids book to actually ignite um, my reading spirit. So right now, you said that you were reading in between your breaks. Um, Other than that, do you read before your sleep? How much time do you think you allot yourself to reading?
So throughout the day, it's going to be different based on the day because there are days where I don't have a lot of classes, so I have a lot of time to read. There are days where I have programs after programs. Just last week, I was working for 4 days straight because I was involved in Proscenium Mental, and like I had less time to read because of it. That's why I said we have to stop being so critical because we have to acknowledge that we have a lot of responsibility. You have to either become AGK for a program or you have to do your assignments. It's going to vary because of it, but as long as you enjoy the act of reading and you at least allotted a small amount of time to read, it should be fine. So I could say that average right now, I read like 5 pages a day, which is not a lot, but it's better than before.
Yeah, that's a lot for me. 5 pages is actually will be a big accomplishment for me. Yeah, it's really hard to give your full attention nowadays to one certain thing. So thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for igniting other people's spirit to read. Does anyone have any other questions you would like to add? Maybe you would like to add something onto Nor's topic. Any listeners who wants to ask a question, please do, because we do encourage people to ask more questions and be more participating in this program. So it seems that nowadays no listeners is interested in giving a comment or a reply. Okay, so that's about it, and we would like to wrap up the sessions for today. So I would like to thank everyone that has attended today's Pass the Mic 2.0. I have learned a lot of things today on self-expression and helping myself spark any interest in me that I have. I would also like to congratulate to our writers today for sharing vulnerable pieces and topics that we rarely get to talk about in our daily lives. And I had so much fun and I enjoyed myself throughout this session so much because I get to relate to every and all the writers and everyone that shared their pieces and topics tonight. So I would like to invite you all to scan the feedback form for us because it's really important that we want to continue this Pass the Mic session to a 3.0 inshallah, there will be another session, and I would like for the listeners themselves to maybe in the next session be the presenters themselves. So to remind you all, Pass the Mic is a safe place that you can talk about anything and everything. It doesn't matter if it's interests, books, a specific book, a specific video, even a specific series. Like right now, I'm really enjoying Bridgerton. So if you do have anything to yap about, this is the best time to yap about anything. So if we do have another session of Pass the Mic 3.0, I would really like for the listeners themselves to, I don't know, present more interesting topics and open up a new whole like special place for everyone can share anything that they want and make this a happier and safer place for us to enjoy any and other topics. Because as a yapper myself, I really enjoyed this session and I really enjoyed all the yappers in the group. So thank you so much for attending and thank you so much for giving support to the writers and all the presenters. So please do scan this, the feedback form so that we can improve ourselves in our work in today's program. So we do like to say sorry for the interruption that we had throughout the session because of the technical issues that we have, because since the first Pass the Mic, we had a lot of interruptions with the Canva. I don't know if you guys also do come across the Canva problem as well. Canva has been giving us so much problems lately. So I'm really sorry for the interruption and really sorry for any delays. So far, we are ahead of our time. It's 9:44 now. So thank you. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves and I hope you guys have a good night tonight. Thank you. Also, we will be sharing the Google form for the attendance. This will only be shared in our meeting, so please do not go out of the do not come out of the room yet. So we will be sharing it in the reply. Sorry, we already shared it in the group, in our Pass the Mic group. So do fill up the link in the group to confirm your attendance for today. So thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.